Hi, this is Dr. Scott Young, and today we're going to talk about Post-NESARA. This is going to be a strange one for some of you, but your relationship to God is going to change and change dramatically as the churches start figuring things out. Let me explain. Now, I talk a lot about this in actually a book. I'm going to throw it up for you here. Not throw up, but you get the idea. So we're going to show you. I mean, now you guys can go to my website. It's drscottyoung.com. Don't go to any other sites. drscottyoung.com. You can do free downloads. You can actually contact me, and you can donate if you feel like it. There are bunches of articles that I have here that you can download. So these ones here, excuse me. Then there are books that you can purchase. There is an end time timeline here, and you can also see the social media kind of things. The specific book, now I haven't gotten this up on the website. I don't know why, but whatever. That's something I got to deal with here. Um, is the wedding of Jesus. The invitations have been sent. I think this might be helpful for you to kind of look at. It gives a lot more detail of what we're talking about here. Okay, so let me bring this up on the screen as we do this, and I'm going to show you what we're going to talk about today. So this is going to be a little more straightforward in seeing this. And like somebody like, whoa, that's gross. Well, this is actually from a zombie walk that happens all the time in downtown cities right around Halloween. And one place that I know of that actually does it is in Denver, and it's on the 16th Street Mall. And you can actually ride the mall locations if you actually are dressed up that day. It's like, oh my gosh. So this is just how people feel. Now, I mean, what's fascinating about the zombie subculture is that what occurs in there. First off, it is a really, really stupid idea. I mean, from just a fiction standpoint, from fiction and in that explanation, it is so boring of a concept. Every single zombie movie ends up the exact same way, and it never goes anywhere. I mean, we're not talking about a genre like comedies or romance that has a different kind of twist to it, or sci-fi, or whatever you want to come up with. But the zombie genre actually happens the exact same way, and yet you can always get your zombie movie to keep going. Why is that? Excuse me. Um, so why it is because what most people are feeling inside is the deadness. Now you have a body, soul, and spirit. Some bad teaching tells you you have a body, soul, and a mind. Well, no, a mind is actually encased in your soul. Okay, and I do some teachings on that. You can actually watch on my channel as well. But what I want you to understand is that most people feel this exact way. They feel emptiness inside. They feel the deadness in their soul because their spirit is dead. And the reflection that they actually feel is exactly this kind of thing. And frankly, this is what's happening in most of the churches today. We're struggling because we see this and we go, that's just how I feel. I don't feel any different than that. So when you walk into churches, this deadness is actually reflected on the stage as well. And I believe that that stuff is going to change as truth comes out in a giant way with this. Now, you can move past this level of thought process because once you do it because of the economic issues. Now, you could have other issues too, but the inflation issues, all this stuff like messes with you and makes you feel deader and deader inside. The reality is you need to break away from those things that make you feel dead. And you're going, how do I break away from it? It's die to all of those areas. You see, there is an actual truth inside, of this nature here. You feel dead to the world because you are dead to the world. And when the world fails you and brings on this kind of stuff, you don't have that connection to it. And you lose the connection. That's actually a great thing. That's God speaking in you that you haven't ever understood. It's because he actually died for you. When you understand this isn't a perfect representation because I believe it actually happened in the spot of desktop, which is in the wrist, but the reality is that Jesus dies for you so that you can die to the world. And the world is dying in so many other ways. And here's what happens. What most people feel like or they've heard about is this kind of transition. They go into a transition, and here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people who are truthers, and they are telling you to rise up, and they're using sci-fi kinds of ideas, and we're going to have. I mean, I just had someone sent me this to just the other day, or no, actually this morning, and he was talking about it was talking about we're going to have replicators, we're going to have this, we're going to have that technology, and everything's going to be like perfect. And I go, yeah, but is it perfect? Do you think that's really that superhero kind of ability that you're going to get? And I go, that is still connection to the world. Now, when you first kind of get this, you think of your response to Jesus as the lion who sits down with the lamb. And I get it. I think that's an interesting parallel we see all the time. And people look for pastors of churches who become shepherds of them. But what you really are isn't this picture here. You're really just a sheep. You're just really a goat. I mean, there's sheep in the background here, but these are goats up here, but there's a little sheep back there. The reality is that's what you are, is a farm animal. Do you really want to be that? Now, when you come to Jesus, you actually might come to him, in this kind of unsuspecting, like out their way, like thinking that this is all there is. And I see so many people who do not get it. They've come to Jesus, but this is as far as they ever go. They're caged in as an animal because they don't have anything else. It's fascinating. Mark 10, 1 talks about, I am the good shepherd. My sheep hear my voice, and they come in and they have pasture with me, and it basically says they're basically taken care of. And I go, you can have this, but don't you want to have something a little bit more? Now, some people would look at this and go, yeah, that's not what I want. I really want to have the Father hug me. And they want to see the Father come and have that deeper level of relationship, that acceptance. Because most people, there's a huge number of people who have not felt accepted by their own fathers. They've never even experienced this kind of nature of a dad hugging you. And it breaks people because what they sense as this nature that if we have this, we can be like this. And you go, well, that's cool. I mean, that's cool to have, but yet, is that the existence that Christ tells us to have about through the Holy Spirit inside of the Word? He says, I desire you to grow up, to get off of the milk and eat the meat. And you see, how do you ever get there? Well, first off, like I've said before, you only get there by understanding that Jesus died for you. There's a sacrifice that has to happen for you to transform a little bit. See, this is a basis of that kind of thing. Transform yourself, move out of the situation. Now, you can start as a lamb, like I said before, but this is where your real destination is just going to be, just in a pen. I mean, you can be that way. And people come to Christ all the time in their deathbed, but this is basically as far as they ever get. They have peace and safety, and that's about it with that. Now, some people are searching, again, like I say, to this point. They search for that kind of relationship because they haven't seen it on the earth, so that they can have a peace that what we would call peace that passes all understanding. And that's a great thing. But instead of just being a sheep, which you don't know anything, and a child who actually has a deeper connection with the Father, which is wonderful, some people also think of God as this friendship relationship that we have. And we see that also, I mean, there's many songs, I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. And so we think of that. We go, well, I like that one. I also like this one. Because I really don't want to just be that. I want to move forward and into this level of relationship, or even that relationship. Well, that is actually an adult relationship that normally happens, or at least obviously someone who's a teen and up, and they have that deeper level friendship. Now, you know this very well. Friends that you have in high school, I'm about ready to hit my 40-year reunion. Friends I knew in high school, they don't know me in that adult phase. They know the kid, right? And I grew up in the same school, basically, or school system, all the way through, from first grade all the way through the time. And so they see this kind of level as the top of it. But this kind of stuff, it just like cleaves you to Jesus, and that's a great point that you can do. But don't we really wish for this? I mean, there are whole YouTube channels that are talking about relationships, and women claiming that they don't need men, and then on the next video or TikTok or whatever that might be, they're going, I want equality with men, but but I don't need men. I'm like going, so men are garbage, but you don't need them, or you're going to have equality with garbage. And I'm going, the double message is so freaky to me when I look at this. It's because we haven't seen that man who has that kind of response. This is in Ephesians 5. That selfless love that is above himself toward the bride. And when the bride has that agape, selfless love, does she want to cleave herself to him? Like, my gosh, yeah. Like, if you knew someone always put your interests above himself, wouldn't you go, you know what, that's what I like. I'd do that, right? I'd be around that. I want to have a man who leads and all those kinds of things. Well, that's what Jesus is. Now, again, you can have this kind of relationship with God, which is cool, right? You can have this kind of relationship with the Father, but this is only a relationship with the Father. Now, you only get to the Father through the Son, right? And you can have this kind of level of relationship, or you can have this kind of level, but you know what? No one has the level of relationship with me like my wife. Now, my wife is my friend. And she can seek safety with me. I can seek safety with her as well in this kind of acceptance with that too. But when you kind of put all three of them together, a real marriage relationship that has that kind of thing, that's when you have like, oh my gosh, a wife like this, a husband like that. That's what I seek. But that's what Jesus offers you. That's the relationship that we need to see, that he is our bridegroom, or in essence, our groom, that husband, or an easier for some of the guys to hear, the spouse. Do you really want that spouse relationship with God? When we understand the truth of the word and not the stupid that the world is trying to tell us that the Bible is corrupted, the answer is it is not corrupted. It still gets it right every single time. Do you want that kind of stuff? If you're interested in that kind of thing, stick around on this channel, because that's the kind of stuff we're going to do as we move into this post-NESARA time frame. You're going to see me talk a lot more about this kind of stuff and feel that connection with God. I hope it helped.